Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Performance E Streaming. It is Sunday night, and that means only one thing. It is time for the My Private Cellar's Australasian Supercar eSeries. Yes, it is time to see the mighty Aussie V8s take on the American Ovals, and we are taking on one of the trickiest places there is. It is, of course, Pocono, a incredibly, well, it's a unique oval nowadays. There's not anything like it out on the calendar, and it is a place that really requires a lot of speed and a lot of concentration. I'm as ever Mr. Carl Wilkinson with you. Joining me up here in the booth is Matty Hunter. Matt, how you going, mate?
Yeah, going good, Carl. Yep, always look forward to coming to Pocono with its three different types of corners, and hard to set up a car that goes around all three corners good. You usually tailor it for one and two and compromise for the third, but with these cars, I think they're pretty well grounded in this course, but it'd be pretty good.
Absolutely, that little bit more downforce makes it some of those corners incredibly fast as well. And when you're going through turn two here, you usually want to lift off a little bit. In these things, you're almost flat because of that extra downforce giving you the car sticking to the ground. It is, of course, round number 2 of the season. It is season 7, and we are looking forward to this one. Qualifying is just wrapping up here tonight, and we will head to the starting grid to see how that went for everybody. And it's gone very well for Southern Stars as Andy Barber taking on pole position tonight ahead of Greg Spencer for Pinnacle. Row number 1. Row 2 sees Justin Whitcher lining up next to Craig Rothy. Row 3, we've got the Sim Boys in Gary Wellman and Kay Donnelly. 4th row, Chris Finley next to Tom Pritchard. Row number 5 sees Todd Maxfield next to Adam Malone. Row 6, we've got Troy Davison and Dwayne Priest. On the 7th row tonight, it's a race 1 runner Darren McKenzie next to Aaron Diller. On the 8th row, it's Kim Ruffy taking next to Richie Tramco. Row number 9 sees a returning Noddy Tompkins out there next to Nigel Patton. And Michael Latter is the last car to set a time. We should be joined by Derek Jacobs, Joe Baldwin, Andrew Carr, and Jamie Budd here tonight. 23 strong field here tonight for Pocono. That is plenty of cars for a extremely fast speedway like Pocono. Look, the draft is going to be strong here for the cars behind. They will be able to get a huge slipstream down these big long straights.
They will, yeah, and keep an eye out for 4 wide action down the front straight. It's always great to see 4 wide action as they come hurtling down into turn 1.
Absolutely. It's something you don't appreciate about Pocono until you see all the cars on track, just how wide this track is. It is extremely wide, and you can easily fit 5 cars side by side racing at speed here. And I am sure we're going to see that in action tonight, which is kind of what we expect in the Australasian Supercar eSeries. We see it week in, week out, that real super speedway style action because of the way these cars react to the speedways, of course. Should see some good speeds out there tonight as well. So we're going to start with our formation lap as they all pile away in the pit lane and get ready for tonight's race. Of course, fuel will be one of the key features. Everybody's going to be thinking about sort of how to get to the end with as few stops as possible. Should be about 2 stops here tonight to get them to the end. Of course, if there's a caution, expect to see everybody darting down the line to extend those stints. With the tyre sets, it is just the 2 sets. So tyre set limit for a race is 2, so they get the set they start on, and then they get 1 set to switch to, which makes it that, could be a very strategic call to switch to those fresh tyres. They're probably going to wait until the latter stages of the run to jump onto a new set of fresh tyres and get ready for tonight's race.
I was just having a quick look, Carl, at the stats from the last race and who the winner was. It was no real surprise who the winner was of the last one. The man who's been having had a really good season too, getting a lot of wins, Gary Wellman. And I'm sure he'll be looking to get a win here as he did in the Series 5 earlier this year.
Yes, he is one of those drivers that you cannot discount, Gary Wellman. He had a rough season starting though, so expect to see things coming back his way in the latter stages. So this could be the opportunity for things to come right for Gary Wellman and get his season kicked off to a good start. Of course, Southern Stars starting it off in style. They will be hoping to continue that momentum for season 7 and take their win as well. Green flags are about to drop here at Pocono. I'm going to shut up. Let's enjoy these cars roar away here at Pocono Raceway. And as they cross the line for the first time tonight, out front is Justin Whitcher taking advantage of a run on Andy Barber down that long front straight, gets himself into the lead. But Andy Barber led the first lap, getting himself that bonus point. Meanwhile, at the back of the field, they're a little bit spread out, battling for positions. Lots of fighting going on throughout the field, which is what we expect. We will see quite a bit of battling going on up the front. It is a good fight between Craig Roffey now moving his way up into P2. Justin Whitcher building up a fairly decent lead in this early stage, breaking away from those cars a little bit, but not enough to break the slipstream behind him, I'm sure. And you'll see those cars catch up very, very quickly.
It was a good start there, wasn't it? And Wellman certainly laying down the challenges. 0.6 of a second ahead already of Roffey. Haven't seen Roffey for a while, so it's good to see him back. And his team, Rogue Sim Sports as well. Good to see them all back as well.
It's good to see the Rogue Sim Sports boys back out in action, and hopefully they can get their season kicked off as well and get some team championship points on the board as well. We expect to see that fight being a very tight one. It's being led at the moment by Southern Stars, so they will want to continue that year and try and take out that trophy as well as a driver's one if they can. Justin Whitcher leads by 0.4 of a second at the moment, ahead of Craig Roffey and Gary Wellman there in third position. Just behind it, starting to spread out a little bit. Todd Maxwell dropping off a tiny bit, and then the field spread starting to come into effect a little bit early here.
It is, yeah. It's surprising to see the field spread. I think there's actually more tyres this series as well, so I don't think they're so worried about conserving them now. I think they've pretty much got the license to just go flat tack.
I think everybody is in attack mode at the moment. I wonder if there are a couple of people just going into fuel conservation moments. So I'm watching Justin Whitcher, and he's dropping back quite quickly. He's not really sort of he's keeping himself there, but he's not going full attack at the moment, and he's sort of sitting quite happily back there in second by the looks of things, and be happy to have somebody in front of him. As we've got a car going around in the corner, and Dwayne Priest makes contact with them. It was one of the Southern Stars cars.
Malone,
it was Adam Malone.
Yeah. See if we can go back and find what's happened there.
The treacherous turn 2 has caught Malone out, and well, it's not just Malone it caught out. He caught out Richie Tramco, who was a little bit late on the brakes. Caught him by surprise, and around goes Adam Malone. And then, unfortunately, Andrew Carr has nowhere to go, same as Dwayne Priest. They get heavy contact into that spinning car, and that might be night over and done with for a couple of those vehicles. Heavy contact there for Dwayne Priest, and then you'll see Andrew Carr just clip the back of Dwayne Priest, and heavy contact for for all of those vehicles.
Yeah, not the way to start off the race, is it? Just have a look at Andrew Carr here. Oh, he was up high, and then yeah, the contact from Press has sort of sent him up a little bit, and unfortunately he's had nowhere to go. Doesn't look too bad. Left front damage. He might be able to get a bit of that repaired in the pit lane and keep going.
Yeah, might be able to get some of that done. Hopefully it's not caused any engine damage, because that would be the real killer.
Yeah, I think Press and Malone will be the ones that have the most damage. Yeah, I think Dwayne's towed, so he might look at. Not sure if he's going to continue or not.
I get the feeling maybe Dwayne tonight might be over, because that was heavy contact in the front there, and that usually spells engine damage. So everybody's going to come down the lane, it seems, and get some fuel and get some get some new bits and bobs on the car. Well, everybody but Joe Baldwin.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy to see the full field come in early, but they must be all going to top up on fuel.
The rave lights start in the pit lane. Get our glow sticks on the ready and get ready for this. But yeah, it looks like everybody's just coming in just for a quick splash and dash of fuel, chucking a little bit of fuel in the tank and getting themselves back underway.
Yeah, this early stage of the race just buys yourself a little bit of flexibility later on. You're just covering off everybody else, really.
Yeah, it gives you some good opportunities to try some different strategies when you've got that a little bit of extra fuel in the tank. So it's Joe Baldwin that's taken the lead of the race, and you have faced to the series as well, at least for the last couple of seasons. So up in the lead right now. So that is some good news for Baldwin.
Indeed. Yeah, the pit stops topping up for fuel is more about, I think, reducing the stationary time in the long run. It makes a big difference. A couple of seconds of stationary time of fuel can be all the difference that you need to get a win here in this style of format of racing.
Well, we often see people absolutely taking it to the limit and short filling the car just to get it to the end and save a little bit of time in pit lane, and often getting to the line and chugging to a halt because they're out of fuel just as they hit the line.
Yeah, they do like to run it right to the edge, don't they?
So I've seen a couple of cars coming in for a second little splash and dash. Andy Barber and Chris Finlay both in the lane just for one last top up, and you're not going to get much fuel just from one lap out here under pace car conditions, but it could be the difference between effectively one race lap. So that can be a big difference in the long run for strategies, and just save you a little bit more time in the lane and just give you a few little wiggle options. It also means you're probably going to be starting a bit further down the pack on the restart, so if there is a little bit of craziness happening as everybody starts to get underway, you're less likely going to get caught up in it.
And especially this early in the race with this style of racing, and track position isn't that important at the moment.
No, track position isn't hugely important, but these are racing drivers out there. Sim racing drivers have one thing in their brain, which is, I want to be leading a race. So we will see how everybody goes and if everybody behaves on the restart. And all the cars getting in line now, getting ready for this restart, as we are on lap 7 here of 80. 73 laps to go here at Pocono. A lot can happen here at Long Pond, Pennsylvania, and we are about to see it all start again as the 846 Joe Baldwin is about to pull away here and take the start, and pulls away. He does, but Justin Whitcher absolutely caught that stop perfectly. Jumps Craig Roffey and pulls himself away. That was lightning reactions from Justin Whitcher there. Absolutely timed it to perfection and has got himself up into the lead of the race. There's always a little bit of contact behind with Roffey getting a little bit sideways. He saves it somehow. Keeps the car pointing in the right direction. A lot of people taking avoiding action as they spread out across the field, but they all make it through turn one for the time being up to turn two. Now the tricky section of the track that has that horrible bridge underneath it that unsettles the cars a little bit, makes it a very tricky corner indeed. Everybody getting through, a little bit of contact there at the rear for somebody just making a rub of the wall, but they are through the next set of corners up towards turn three. The long left-hander, and this isn't a vital one to get right because it shoots you out onto the start-finish straight, and we see three wide as they come to the line. In the middle is Gary Wellman, and he takes advantage of that and takes the lead off the race.
A nice power move there from Wellman. I have to wonder if Roffey might have started in too high a gear. That run that Whitcher got on him was amazing, and I just wonder if he might have been just in a gear too high on that restart, and that sort of dropped him down a little bit, and then of course he got in the middle, but nice great save from the contact on the slide. But he's running down in 8th spot now.
Yeah, it makes a big difference in these cars. You know, I think a lot of people started off in sometimes right in first gear and just jump it straight up to second as soon as they get there, just keep the power band up as high as possible, and it can pay off if you get it right. But if you get it wrong, it can really cost you as well. And that start was absolutely picture perfect from Justin Whitcher, flying his way up there. But now he was leading, and all of a sudden he's getting swamped by cars as they're three wide for a moment coming into turn one. And they just spread themselves out, and Whitcher caught down the bottom has found himself dropping from the lead all the way down into 8th position.
There's two little packs have formed here. There's an angry little pack at the front, 8 cars. All depends on how good that run is. The aggressive moving there. You want to get a really good run up that turn 3 so you can really keep the momentum, and it makes all the difference heading down that turn 1 long straight.
Yeah, absolutely. Corner exit is such a crucial thing to get in these cars, especially when there is such a long straight at hand. If you can get the slipstream behind the car in front, that even helps you more. We've seen that these things, they will slipstream like a beast. There's been a bump drafting up at the front between Wellman and Baldwin. Down the front straight they go, up to about 295 kilometers per hour. And they are really running hard at the moment up the front. These guys pushing as quick as they can, wanting to try and break out a bit of a gap to the front so they can sort of take a little bit of an easy moment for the rest of the race.
Yeah, they're not taking it easy at the front here, eh? They're pushing pretty hard. Just see Maxfield gets a little bit high out there and almost into the wall, but recovers it.
Having a good run up the front there, side by side with Troy Davidson. Kate Donnelly up there as well, and Aaron Dillon too. So the Sim boys are up in strength up the front of the field, and that could be crucial as long as this race goes on. Of course, teammates can be a very big help in situations like this, as Kate Donnelly looks like he's going to try and run his way up behind Gary Wellman as he tries to make the move. But it doesn't quite work, and it means that Joe Baldwin gets back up into the lead. Baldwin back up in the lead in the 8:46 ahead of Donnelly and Wellman.
It's interesting to see we've got 3 very clear packs formed. There's not that much between them, only about a second between each pack.
Yeah, I wonder, they seem pretty comfortable in those positions, and they're not really fighting hard, so they could find themselves closing up in that mid-pack. The back pack at the moment is really starting to fight hard, and they're all over the place, really trying to find position. That's being led by Nigel Patton at the moment, and I'm sure that he's sitting there going, look guys, you know, just stay in line and we'll catch up to these leaders relatively quickly. So, you know, if we start fighting, start side drafting each other, we're going to find ourselves losing a bit of time here. So let's try and work together a little bit so we can catch up to these guys so they don't build up too much of a gap. Everybody behind's going, yeah, but I want to race. I'm not into this whole single line thing. So some different styles of racing going on there at the moment, and that is losing a little bit of time. But one of the cars up there is Adam Malone. So Malone is trying his best to sort of get himself up there and get himself past Andrew Carr to be the first car a lap down. So trying to secure that lucky dog spot. And you can see Adam Malone because he's the car without a rear spoiler on there. So he has not got a rear wing on the back of that car, which will make it a little bit more slippery down the straights. It doesn't have that big barn door on the back pressing the rear down as all contact between Andrew Carr and I didn't see who that was.
Tremaco, I think.
Yeah, Richie Tremaco.
A little bit of damage there. Hopefully not too bad on the right side of Tremaco's car.
They kept it pointing in the right direction, so that's the main thing. There was no caution flag brought out. But that's cut off a lot of momentum for those two cars. So they've got to try and get themselves back up to speed and back into that little bit of racing.
For the most part, they've settled in at the moment. Still got this battle, 3 cars for the lead, but other than that, we're running pretty much single file now in our little packs.
Yeah, I was just watching that, Matt, and thinking, you know, the sort of packs behind are not catching too quickly, considering this front three is swapping positions, lap in, lap out at the moment. You've got Kate Donnelly, Joe Baldwin, and Todd Maxfield up there, really fighting hard to get the lead of this race. As the two Sim boys fighting out the front of the field.
And we see Maxfield's put a move on there and taking the lead, coming out of turn 4. Turn 3, sorry. There is no turn 4, it's Pocono.
Yeah, what's turn 4?
Yeah. It's like I said turn 4 and then I remembered there's no turn 4, it's Pocono.
The joys of a triangle.
So it looks like Donnelly's going to jump back a little bit. I wonder if they're worried about their fuel usage, as you say. Like, they clear out and then they definitely come back.
Yeah, I get the feeling that they're just wanting to. Oh, as there was a bit of smoke up in the air and a bit of contact between the front runners, as Baldwin makes contact with Maxfield and then makes contact with the wall, and that's closed up the front by a huge margin. And now the front pack is absolutely nose to tail. They can't run a single file because they're side by side.
They had settled down, but now they're fired up again.
All it takes is a momentary lapse of concentration, a little mistake, and the pack will be there to punish you. As we see Troy Doughton in the lead at the moment, and Aaron Dillon really moving down quickly, trying to get some draft behind Baldwin at the moment, really pushing hard as they come through turn 2. And always tricky, especially if you're side by side, and that is why we see crash there, Baldwin and Dillon, and that's going to catch a few more people out, I'm sure. If everybody made it through that, they were very lucky indeed.
Yeah, I just thought it looked a little bit awkward as they were coming to that turn 2 there. We'll just go back and see if we can find the replay of it.
Turn 2 is one of those places you generally don't want to be side by side with.
No.
And it looks like Dillon's just scrubbed up the track into Baldwin and heavy contact in the wall. Baldwin's gone down low. Aaron Dillon has been sort of caught up on the track, saved the slide, and got it pointing in the right direction again, but minus a fair few bits of bodywork.
Yeah, it's always, can Can't always get away with going side by side in turn 2. Yeah, as you say, he's just come up here. I don't think anybody else has been caught out in it. I think it's only been the 2 cars.
They got very lucky not to get caught up in that, but luckily it sort of pinned it up in the wall. And some people had some very close moments as Baldwin got shot down the track in front of them.
I'll just have a look at might just go back and look at an onboard from Adam Malone. No, Andy Barber, sorry. So you see Andy Barber just come around here.
And
you see smoke.
You see a couple of brake lights, you see smoke, and you think, oh yeah, I'll just shoot down to the low line, it should be safe there. And then a car comes flying down in front of you. And you have to try and slow your car down, try and avoid all the carnage. And they did a great job of doing that, because that would have been a big old accident, another big old hit if somebody had gone into the side there.
Yeah, they did a really, really good job there. Because as soon as they saw smoke and brake lights, they knew that something was not right was happening up the front there, and they got out of the gas and took evasive action.
That's it. Something that is different in these cars, of course, is you do have those rear brake lights, which you don't get much in racing, and especially in oval racing. So it is a bit of an early warning system. You don't just have to rely on seeing a massive smoke screen in front of you. If you see those brake lights appearing, you can get on those quickly and avoid some of the bigger accidents. So it's a good news for Adam Malone. This will get him his lap back. So got the lucky dog. And we'll now have to take a long, lonely trip around Pocono, the tricky triangle, some 4 odd kilometres of a racetrack all on his own to get to the pit lane and get a little bit of service done, but importantly is back on the lead lap.
Yeah, we'll see if he comes out of the pits this time with a boot lid, hopefully. Boot lid and a spoiler.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, I never know if it's actually an advantage or a disadvantage having it on the back of these cars, because, you know, a little bit less drag is a good thing. But then having the car sticking through the corners, especially through turn 2, is a good thing. So I think I would prefer to have the old boot lid with the big old wing stuck to the back of it around here. But at some of the long straights, it must be a little bit of an advantage not having that big draggy rear wing on the back of it.
Yeah, I think so. I remember a few years ago how the Gen 6 cars were not quite right, and everybody was working their setup so that the front was really high and the back was really low to get the spoiler out of the air.
Yeah. It's like when you race, it's like the Skippy or some of the junior Formula cars on the ovals. You're sometimes better off just giving a little bit of a nudge to the front and getting yourself that wing removed, because that can make a big difference. And I think Malone just got caught out in the pit lane.
Yeah, he got caught and he had to pit exit closed, and he had to sit there and wait for the whole field to come past. So he's going to be back down that one lap.
That is just painful to have happen. You sort of get all excited getting that lap back, but then you get it taken away from you, and you are back a lap down. So at least some of the repairs done to the car, I guess, but still a lap down for Adam Malone.
Yeah, they didn't manage to put a spoiler on at that time, so hopefully next time, if there is a next time, that they will. We're only 20 laps out of 80, so there could be a few more cautions yet.
It does make it a little bit harder for the spare parts teams over in America, because there aren't as many road cars sitting around that you can quickly nip out and steal a spoiler off. So it's Craig Roffey back up at the front of the field with Troy Davidson to his outside. Todd Maxfield, Justin Whitcher behind him. Can Justin Whitcher make a lightning start again? We saw him on that last restart, absolutely nailing it. Will it be 2 for 2 for Whitcher?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how Roffey gets away.
as they come to the line, and away they go. And Roffey gets a much better start this time round. Absolutely nails that one. Gets away very nicely.
Yeah, I think, as I say, like the last reset, I think he must have got caught. He was just in too high a gear still. But he's done an excellent job getting away this time.
Mistakes are very useful sometimes because they can lead to better lessons, and we've seen that there for Craig Roffey, taking advantage of that mistake on the first restart, using his knowledge and putting it to practice for the second one and making a perfect getaway as they come across turn 2 again over the bridge, and the very, very notorious turn 2 where we see probably most of the accidents at Pocono, you've got to say.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
As we've got a little bit of 2 to 3 wide action in the background as one of the Pinnacle cars battling it out with Noddy Tompkins in the SRM mobile braking mechanical machine, really fighting it out down through the field at the moment, and plenty of action going on throughout the pack. Some big movers through the field as Troy Davison up 9 positions, Kim Roffey up 8 positions. Nobody's really made the big double digits leap at the moment. But there is still plenty of time to come for that one.
It's quite interesting how most drivers are all driving forwards.
Yeah, it's the Commodore has very much fallen out of favour. I think we've got Michael Latter out there, Noddy Tompkin, and I think that might be it. Kim Roffey as well.
Roffey, yeah.
Yeah. So just the 3 Holdens out there, and I do wonder if we'll see the it come back to sort of GM's favour if and when they release the brain has gone blank on the car.
The latest generation of supercar, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Camaro and the Mustang, the new ones.
That's it, Camaro. That's the one I was trying to think of. Because it's a few years old now, the old Commodore, and well, no longer a thing, is it really? So it is nice to see it still racing on a track occasionally, but it has very much fallen out of favour, unfortunately. The old Lion.
Well, the hard thing with that though is the Camaro that they're racing is going out of production as well in a few years, isn't it?
Yes, it's been a torrid year for those cars, and you've got to wonder what's going to be happening to the Aussie touring car scene when it all shakes up. A little bit of a moment back there we saw for some of the Southern Stars cars, Anchor Barber, Dan McKenzie, Tom Pritchard with Noddy Tompkins just having a little bit of a moment, just having to spread out. They've got themselves all under control. Up the front, it is single file at the moment, with Craig Roffey for Rogue Sim Sports leading the pack ahead of Troy Davison and Todd Maxfield.
Mostly single file running, although we're seeing Andy Barber seeing if he can get a run into turn 3. See if he gets the exit, carries that speed on the exit, hopefully. Sorry, Cal, you were saying?
I was about to say, we'll see what happens there, but it's tricky to get past people here, as we see. Just losing that run. He sort of tried to take the draft a little bit too early, used the slingshot a bit too soon, going into turn 3, and it really cost him as he got sort of just lost that momentum, and Nigel Patton could just keep him behind him.
Yeah, no, Nigel was able to keep the momentum of that high line, wasn't he? And means he was able to hold him off down the front straight.
Yeah, and when they're running in such a tight pack like this, you need to get a monster run to sort of pass somebody, because the car in front of you is generally going to be enjoying a little bit of slipstream itself, so it's very hard to sort of make those moves. Adam Lone still out there battling it out. He's 1 lap down. We've also got Andrew Carr, who is 3 laps down, and we've lost Dwayne Priest from this race. it'll be interesting to see if we get a nice long green period here for these drivers to really get an idea of the green flag conditions, to get a full stint under green flag conditions, because well, Pocono it's a track that it can be quite tricky to get everything working, and especially as the stint goes on, as tire temperature goes up a little bit, as the wear starts to kick in, it gets harder and harder, and it can really start catching drivers out. So I wonder if we'll start seeing that happening as well if we get a nice long green flag period here for the Australasian Supercar eSeries, of course, brought to you by my Private Cellar here on Performance eStreaming. And this time Andy Barber makes it work, gets past Greg Spencer and moves himself up a spot into ninth position, just behind Kim Rothie. And they are slowly starting to sort of work out where's a good place to pass and where is not, as we see the two Southern Stars cars getting underneath the Pinnacle cars through turn 2. Gets a bit loose there for Tom Pritchard. He just saves it, and it keeps that car going. That could have been a big moment there. Great job of keeping that car under control and not having a accident.
It's a good job there. And who was that really, really low trying to get the run? I think it might have been the red car of Barber. It's really cutting low. Someone's going into the pits in the background.
I think it might be Aaron Dillon, actually.
Aaron Dillon.
It's Aaron Dillon. So in the 013, and I wonder if that might be to park it up for the night, take it behind the wall, because there's a lot of damage to the 013. Keep an eye on that one as we keep an eye on the racing here, as they are fully still sort of single file mode up at the front. There's a couple of people that are looking to do a couple of movements, but the majority of people are pretty happy just keeping themselves in the single file line at the moment, and seeing what they can do in this race.
Just keeping an eye on Andy Barber. I just seen him make a move past Rothie on the outside of turn 1. That was a pretty impressive move.
Yeah, Barber's got some good pace at the moment, and is probably the car on the move, you've got to say. Our pole sitter, of course, so we know he's got some good speed around this track. Taking out pole is usually a good indicator for that one. So he's trying to get himself back up into a leading position at the moment, trying to get that victory. But there is a few cars to go in his quest. He's down in his 8th position at the moment. He's got Chris Finlay next on his list. And still, everybody's relatively tight in the pack. There's a couple of people that have fallen off a little bit. Derek Jacobs, Joe Baldwin, and Richie Tromko have all sort of fallen off the pack. Everybody else, from Michael Latter onwards, are on the pack. So 15 cars at the moment in this charge to the front. We have lost Andrew Carr, unfortunately, from the race, and I think we're also going to be losing Aaron Dillon as well. I think we might be retiring the 013 Simboys entry. So we've lost one Simboy, but as they are Hydras, it means that 2 more will come back in their place, I'm sure.
Yeah, there's plenty of Simboys out there.
Oh, close to the wall. Troy Davidson going through turn 2 just had a huge moment of bravery by keeping his foot to the floor, as he absolutely gave the wall the perfect kiss and kept the speed up there. That was a really, really brave moment. As we're seeing back in the pack now, some action starting to come forwards, and Chris Finlay and Andy Barber racing out with each other, battling it out. Andy Barber up on the high side this time, trying to get his way past Finlay, and he might make it 2 Simboys in 1, as he's got the run on Cade Donnelly now. Donnelly's got a better run on the exit there, as they battle it out down towards turn 2, and this is going to be a who's going to be the brave one in turn 2. Cade Donnelly's never one to lift, so I think Andy Barber might just have to take discretion over the better part of valor there and just lift the throttle off just a tiny bit, just to save their nights, and he does that indeed.
Yeah, conscious decision there from Barber just to lift into that corner, just self-preservation. But he's still able to use it to get clear of Finlay. But although Finlay is going to get a good run of 3, now we're going to see Wellman have a crack at Whitcher.
The Whitcher Electrix Pinnacle entered car. Of course, big thank you to Whitcher Electrix for being part of the title sponsors for the series. And Whitcher does a great job of keeping Wellman behind. Gary just pulled out a little bit too soon in the Simboys entry and just got himself stalled out. What happens in, if you're sort of new to motorsport and new to racing in this style, you'll see the cars jump out from behind another car and look like they're going to have a huge run, as Andy Barber does just then on Kay Donnelly. Absolutely timed that to perfection. But sometimes they'll jump out from behind another car, and as soon as you hit that air, it slows the car down. It's not like the movies where you can find yourself a magical gear to drop down into and get some extra speed. Unfortunately, as soon as you drop out into those positions, you just have to take advantage of the momentum you've got. And if you don't have enough momentum, you start to stall out, and then you start to equal out your speed, and then eventually lose it a little bit as you've got nobody in front of you breaking that big wall of air.
Do you mean they don't have the Fast and Furious 20 gear gearbox?
I know, it's disgraceful. I was reading a review on the new Gran Turismo movie, and then they were saying it's amazing how all the racing cars have a special gear for overtaking. You just drop it down a gear whenever you need to overtake, and you all of a sudden gain a magical 20-odd miles per hour.
Yeah.
I don't know why they don't drive in that gear all the time, in all honesty.
No.
Of course, pet peeve.
Because it's not really doing it the proper way, unless they're saying they're dropping the hammer.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You've got to say you're dropping the hammer, and then you change into that extra gear, and away you go.
It's all crucial parts of the motorsport movie magic machine there.
That's a Days of Thunder reference for you.
We're all Days of Thunder references here. There's not enough Norse kids in motorsport. We need some more of that, where you can press that magic button and all of a sudden find your engine head blowing through the top of your bonnet. And
then you got to always say, "Too soon, Brian. Too soon." But it looks like Andy Barber's stalled out a little bit. He's made it up to 6th spot because he has been the one that's really been making some moves. Although I do see Mackenzie in the background making some moves as well. But Barber seems to have stalled out in 6th spot at the moment. Let's see if he can get a run on Whitcher and get into that top 5.
Yeah, we sort of, it's been a solid few laps of just somebody moving their way up the order, but everybody's starting to struggle a little bit now as we've gotten into that sort of rhythm of this run. About 16 laps in this stint, and the cars are starting to get a little bit warmer, tyres are starting to get a little bit warmer as well, and you start to find that you just don't quite have as much of an opportunity as you did earlier in the stint, but people are still trying to make those moves, as we see Andy Barber going up on the high side of Justin Whitcher through turn 2, trying to make that move, and now should get better run off the corner. Taking that high line will give you better momentum out the corner. Going to try and take advantage of that and see if you can get past Whitcher, but Whitcher's also trying to get past Wellman, so there's lots of action on the track, but up the front it has been very sedate, you've got to say. Craig Rothie happily leading this race for Rogue Sim Sports, keeping himself up at the front of the field in the 030 ahead of Troy Davison and Todd Maxfield.
Yeah, it has been. The front 2 positions are very calm. I think Davison's quite happy to let Rothie lead and perhaps be saving a bit of fuel. Once again, Barber using that outside on turn 1. He seems to be the only one who's got that really figured out. So now he's jumped up into 4th, although he's going to have the run on Wellman as well. So basically 2 cars past there.
Really well done there from Andy Barber, absolutely nailing the exit of turn 1 and using that high line momentum just to shoot himself out the corner and just to get that bit of extra speed. And it's sort of one of those things of, you can absolutely sort of do that a few times and take advantage of that. But constantly taking that high line and sort of using that sort of action. It can sort of affect the tyres a little bit. It can affect the way the car handles later on in the stint. But at the moment, it's not really affecting Andy Barber. He is absolutely flying as he goes down low this time on Todd Maxfield and tries a different approach here. Doesn't quite work that time round. Maxfield had a good exit of the corner, but was not probably in the position he wanted to be. Now Barber's going to go down the inside of turn number 2, takes it too wide, and Todd Maxfield just has to let it breathe a little bit just to avoid catching the outside wall there. So really nicely done from Andy Barber, really doing a good job of working his way up through the field.
I think maybe Andy's heard us and he's chucked it in that extra gear, the Gran Turismo gear.
Downshifted it, revving it to the maximum. Absolutely perfect.
Yep, he's going to have a run here on second. He's going to get that done as well.
Really flying his way through the field at the moment, and just tells me that Andy Barber's probably a little bit more confident on his fuel than anybody else at the moment, and is willing to really take advantage of that because he wants to get up into the lead in the number 5. Gets a huge run down the straight into the corner he goes, and once more through turn 2, Andy Barber just absolutely wrestles his car through and up into the lead of the race.
Yeah, I think no one was really wanting to fight him too hard, so I think he's probably saved a little bit of fuel and he's decided now he's just going to drop the hammer for the rest of the run. As we see one of Patton's car in the background just clip the wall next to turn 3. But yeah, no one was really wanting to fight him, so I think they're all happy to sort of sit back and save a little bit.
Well, they're happy to sit back and save a little bit for a few moments as they're 3 wide. Justin Whitcher going down the inside, down Mackenzie, and I think that might have been Chris Finley on the outside there. They are racing a little bit harder now in the mid-pack. It's gone through its gentlemanly stage. Everybody's gone, yep, this has been nice. We've got a few laps under our belt, nice green laps. Okay, let's start racing now. And the aggression levels have been turned up to 11, and they are all starting to get very, very feisty throughout the field. So top 14 at the moment, covered by about 1.5 seconds. Michael Ladder's dropped off a little bit. I've got Richie Tranco a bit further down as well. Derek Jacobs and Adam Malone. Adam Malone still a lap down at the moment. So would very much like to see a caution flag come out to get himself back into this race. But at the moment, everybody's racing relatively smartly. There's not too many low-risk moves going on throughout the field. As we see, it's side-by-side action between Gary Wellman and maybe Kate Donnelly there, and Justin Whitcher as well. So some racing starting to creep up through there, but not seeing the real low-risk moves. Everybody's sort of not taking too much of a gamble at the moment.
For the most part, they're pretty happy to just ride, I think, to this next monster. Just trying to remember how many laps of it we can do on fuel.
Oh, sorry, Matt, we've lost you a little bit there.
Sorry, back now, hopefully?
Nope, still a bit rough there, unfortunately. We will try and kick that back into gear very, very shortly. As big moment there for, I think that was Todd Maxfield, just having a bit of a moment. Well, Troy Davidson actually, just having a little bit of a wide moment there through the corner as they start to get very racy behind. This battle behind for third down is really starting to heat up, and they are really starting to get the old aggression levels turned up there. And a couple of dicier moves as we've got 38 laps remaining. We're 42 laps into this one. So we are very much past halfway distance, and we are coming to the end of tonight's race. So it's now going to be, when does everybody need to click down into pit lane? Maybe about 8 more laps, I would think. before we start seeing those pit stops.
Give the microphone a bit of a test. How's it sounding any better?
Yeah, I can actually hear you now.
Wow, that's weird. That's that random microphone issue that we've experienced a few times. Nothing's...
Hopefully it wasn't caused by an earthquake this time.
No. Not, if there was an earthquake here, I'm not aware of it, but yeah. No, of course, we've done broadcasting, been in the middle of broadcasting and had reasonably good earthquakes here. Ones where you're sitting here thinking about whether you need to get under a table or not. They can even be stronger.
But of course, the broadcast takes priority. You don't run and hide from that. The broadcast stays on, as is tradition here at Performance at eStream. But up at the front, the race is starting to heat up between Barber, Roffey, and Mackenzie.
Yeah, interesting to see Mackenzie work his way through as well to join Barber up the front. But Roffey's pretty keen to race for the lead at the moment. And we're thinking 30 laps on fuel, are we? Or are we thinking 26 to 28? I can't quite remember.
I'm thinking about 30, but I'm sure I'll be proved wrong. As so close through the corner, Barber and Roffey there. They are really, really racing hard. There's a big accident in the background.
There it is.
Contact between Pritchard and Noddy Tompkins, and they've gone down into one of the pinnacle cars of Nigel Patton, and that was a big, big accident there, and that's probably night over and done, at least for those 3 cars.
Just see if we can pick it up here.
Let's see the replay here. Looks like Tompkins just trying to take that high line through there. And Pritchard's just got loose, just got tight, sorry, and just run up the track and bang into the side. Heavy, heavy impact. And then poor Patton just sitting there minding his own business, twiddling his thumbs, and all of a sudden has a car spear down into him and makes heavy contact with that inside wall.
Always hate those ones. There's not much Patton could do there.
It's never fun when you're the innocent bystander in an accident like that, because you're just sort of nothing you can do in that situation, nothing you could have done differently, and you just have to go, well, just a bit of bad luck there, I guess, and just shrug your shoulders and hope for better luck next time. Everybody popping into the lane though to get some fuel and get some services done. Adam Malone sticking out there, of course, lucky dog. He's going to have to get that timing a little bit more perfect this time and hopefully get out ahead of the pace car field and not get stuck in pit lane. Get that lap back as Andy Barber has made a pig's ear of that pit stop.
That's going to be costly. That's going to drop him right back down, I would say.
When the field are covered by less than a second, a mistake like that can really cost you.
Looked like he might have been too far right and he had to back to the left. We had to go forward and then come back to the left just to be close enough to get the pit stop done. But yeah.
That's dropped him right down the order. So was leading up to coming into this pit stop and now has dropped down
11th, I think.
Yep.
Yeah, it's cost him 10 spots.
Costly mistake indeed. Michael Ladder sticking it out there, but I'm sure we'll be coming down pit lane shortly in the Commodore.
I'm not sure about that. I'm seeing his stint is only 2 laps, so he might.
Oh yeah, actually he's been in the lane recently.
Yeah, I think he might have pitted under the green just before the caution.
He did. Oh, that's worked out perfectly for Michael Ladder.
It is. So he will be the actual race leader, yeah, when we go back.
Yeah, because I saw him sticking it out there, and I'm like, okay, just maybe missed the pit lane, but no, you are right, Matt. He came in and
Yeah.
made a green flag stop, and look, that's one of the beauties about Pocono is it's such a long track. You can make a green flag stop, not drop down a lap, and if the caution comes out in a relatively quick time, you can find yourself making up a whole heap of positions.
Yeah, it was only 2 laps difference to the rest of the pack. Good to see him back as well. It's been a little while since he's been in. A few weeks since he's been racing. So yeah, it's good to see him out there. And one of the only Commodores out there, one of the only 3.
Yeah, it's good to see one up in the lead, so that's nice to see. So that's changed things up a little bit through the field. As we said, Adam Maloney, he's going to be back on the lead lap, so he's going to be happy about that. Of course, not so happy to see a teammate having a big accident, of course, but at least he can get back into this race and start racing a little bit. Noddy Tompkins is back out on track as well. The SRM team doing a good job of getting that car patched up. Tom Pritchard, I think, is very much out of the race, so we've lost Tom Pritchard, Joe Baldwin, Aaron Dillon, Andrew Carr, and Dwayne Priest from this race.
Nigel Patton's 2 laps down, but still circulating.
Yeah, they've just done enough necromancy to get that car revived and back out on track. Hopefully, it won't be too far off the pace, and well, at least we can get some points on the board. That's going to be the main thing.
So I have Andy Barber down in 13th position, so he's dropped 12 spots. Probably dropped about 11 spots on pit lane, but we're about to go green again.
We are indeed as the pace car pulls in and the green flag drops once more, and we go back to green flag racing as Noddy Tompkins made a mistake. He was just coming into pit lane. I think he may have just locked him up a little bit and had a big incident blowing his engine, so that's the end of the night for the 119. But we will look at the front, and it is Michael Ladder out in the lead. That pit stop worked to perfection for Ladder and has moved him up 18 positions. So sitting right down at the back of the pack all race long, all of a sudden find yourself in the lead, and this will be a change of scenery for him. Meanwhile, Troy Davidson is battling it out now in second with Craig Roffey, Todd Maxfield, Gary Wellman, Dan McKenzie, Justin Whitcher, all racing hard at the moment through this pack, and they are racing very hard at the moment. They've gone back into 2 wide action here at Pocono, the tricky triangle, proving tricky for many tonight, catching a fair few people out, but the rest of the pack are racing. We've still got 17 cars in this race and racing hard at the moment.
Now, I think there was 33 or 34 laps to go when we went back to green, so I imagine they will definitely be needing a pit stop to make it home. One more.
Yeah, we would imagine it would be at least one more splash and dash to get to the end, and I'm sure people will be some people will be trying to save as much fuel as possible to make that pit stop as short as possible, because if it's a green flag stop, the less time spent down the lane could be crucial, especially when there's only a couple of milliseconds covering this field of cars. If you can save 2 or 3 seconds in the pit lane, that can find you out in the lead of this race with a few laps to go. Gary Wellman getting a monster run, drops down in front of Craig Roffey, who gets right on his rear and gets up behind him. Michael Ladder leading them through as he remains in the lead in this race. From the back of the pack to the front, Ladder having a good run and a bit of luck with that pit stop, but now Gary Wellman has got a good run, a good exit out the corner. Ladder falling back a little bit here, and I think Ladder's just going, yep, I'm happy to lose the lead. I've got a bonus point. Now I can get into fuel saving mode.
It does look like he's decided to sort of drop back a bit, doesn't he? It's a shame because he was doing really, really well at the front. But as you say, it might be just a bit of a fuel saving move, that one.
Yeah, he seems to want to just move back in the pack a little bit, just shuffling his way back a little bit, just keeping off the high line. and you just get the feeling that's a strategic call, because I didn't see any mistakes from him. So
No. So yeah, it's just must be a strategy thing. Maybe he's not comfortable racing up near the front there. As I say, like he hasn't raced for a little bit of a while, so it takes a bit of time to build that confidence up running around all these cars so closely.
yeah, that is one thing as well, is when you're up at the lead, it is a very different feeling as well, and you sometimes have to go, look, I'm going to be a little bit more comfortable a few cars back than I am leading from the front. So I'm just going to drop back a little bit here and just take a bit of a breather. But that's not a bad thing to do, because he's got a couple of laps less fuel on board than those around him as well. So if there is one more stop in this one, he needs to try and save a little bit here, just so he doesn't lose so much time down pit lane. And I'm just going to jump on board with Gary Wellman on my end of things to get an idea of what they're up to through these corners, because they're still racing really hard at the moment. As we go through turn 2 there, you just see how close Gary's getting to the wall on the exit of the corners, trying to get as much speed as possible, taking as much racetrack as possible. Drops it down to 4th for turn number 3, gets on the power and back up to speed. Not a hint of fuel saving going on here. It is full attack mode. Up into 5th gear, down the front straight we go. Hitting the red line as we go up to 6th gear into the first corner. Drops it down to 5th, gets the car settled through this turn, and just keeps on the power. So not a hint of fuel saving going on, and really carrying the speed well through these corners.
Even changing it down to 4th to get off the exit of turn 1 as well.
It's something you don't really, in a NASCAR style of things, you don't really shift gears too much, especially in the older Gen 6 and the Xfinity style of the trucks sort of area. You generally keep it in 4th unless you're on a short track, as Wellman gets loose. Now's a bit of a moment, and he's going to lose a whole heap of positions here. Just mistimed going into the final corner there, and it cost him at least 2 to 3 spots. Huge run for Greg Spencer, as they all take a moment just to settle down there, as they all swap positions, and it's Craig Rothie back in the lead.
Yeah, Rothie pounced on that mistake from Wellman really well. I think most of the drivers have probably decided that, there's no way we can fuel save to make this race distance. We're all going to need one pit stop, so we might as well just go as fast as we can now.
Absolutely. Look, that's always the motto I live by. It's go as fast as possible and see what happens in a race. Probably why I don't win anything. But no, it's good to see these guys full going on racing. We've got 2 wide at the moment. They're really racing hard, as Greg Spencer works his way up into the lead.
Yeah, Spencer's going to take over the lead. That very nice liveried car, my Private Cellar car.
There's a splash of RKJ Web Services on the back as well.
A bit of Whitcher Electrix on the front bumper too.
Doing a good job to all of our titled sponsors there. At least the pinnacle versions of them. Of course, also a big thank you to United Electrical Solutions and Hot Toddys heating installations back on the Sim Boys. A big thank you to all of the series sponsors, and that, look, if you are in the need for a little bit of electrical needs fixing, some heating installations, some wine services, so some wine storage solutions, please get in contact with the series sponsors because they are always willing to help. And of course, RKJ Web Services for all of your internet and internet security woes and needs and bits like that, and website solutions. They all help keep this series running and keep it broadcast. So big appreciation to all of the series sponsors there. We're on lap 55 of 80, 25 to go. We are coming to the final stint of the race. Well, if we see a caution from now on, we are going to see the final stops of the race happening.
Yeah, we'd have to think that if there is a caution now, everybody would pit, and that would be them probably looking to make the race distance. They shouldn't need another pit stop after that. We're seeing a bit of a snake going on, I think. Oh, this is going to get awkward heading into 2.
They make it through turn 2 somehow. 3-4 wide at some stages. That was absolutely crazy stuff from there, boys.
Greg Spencer went from the lead to 10th spot out of that.
It was a huge run from Maxfield and Finley. They both had the monster run going up past. I was sort of watching that going up to turn 2. And then Kim Roffey as well, absolutely flying through the field. So there must have been like a little bit of a checkup there, I'd say, and it's just had a bit of a knock-on solution. Somebody was having a monster run. There was a tiny little checkup, and then all of a sudden they found themselves 3 wide. Craig Roffey's moving down just to defend that line from Kay Donnelly. They are really starting to get into that that last stint mode now. You feel they're just starting to get a little bit more aggressive. There's a few more moves happening that are a little bit 50-50, you got to say.
Yeah, they're not quite as willing as they were before to give up their positions, are they? They're starting to sort of put a little bit of a fight into them.
We are starting to see that fight starting to creep up for sure. It is very much on through the field, and well, gotta say this is where we would sort of tentatively say, get the feeling we might see a caution, but they've all started to settle down a little bit again. Just going back to single file and just going, look, okay, we're just going to go back into hold pattern mode for a couple of moments before we go back to full out attack mode, because you feel like that full out attack is going to start happening anytime soon, because they are getting towards the end of the race, and the position could be key here for the final run to the flag. Of course, if Simboys can get all of their ducks in a line, they can get all of the running cars in a decent order and get themselves back out on track with each other, they could be in a really strong position. Same goes for Rogue Sim Sports, and they've not got as many cars up there. Same for Pinnacle, and of course Southern Stars. You know, if they can get their teammates working in order with each other, they could find themselves in a good position at the end of the race. But as always, Simboy, they are legion, they are many, and they could be in a really good position here. But it is the Simboys, and they will race each other as hard as possible as well. So do not expect to see them taking it easy, as we saw Kay Donnelly and Gary Wellman really fighting hard there.
Yeah, there was a bit of an awkward moment there. You might have heard me, a bit of an expression from me. I was like, uh-oh, sort of thing. But they managed to sort it out. But yeah, anytime they go into turn 2 and they're closely bunched up 3 wide, it's always a bit of a, uh-oh, keep an eye on this. But they managed to get through alive.
It's always that moment you get ready with the instant replay button. You start warming up the replay switch just in case we need it.
Keeping an eye out, trying to work out who's involved so we can jump to them and get a replay and work out what's happened. But there's still a long way to go, still 21 laps. See Roffey pull out there.
Yeah, it's one of those things around Pocono, you know, you sort of go 20 laps to go on a normal oval, you go 20 laps to go, that's not long. Pocono, that's still a long old way to go. That's
It's 21 minutes,
yeah,
basically.
yeah.
Well, if they run green, I think I know, he's just trying
Finlay
to break
having a
the
bit of a
draft.
moment. I think Finlay may have just had a little bit of a moment off the corner.
Okay. I'll have a look and see if we can find anything.
But got it back on track. Just maybe got a little bit tail happy. Not much, but it was enough to lose a little bit of momentum, and that just dropped him right down the order.
Yeah. Interesting. Sorry, yeah, what I was saying was my data is showing that if we went green from here, we've still 18 minutes to go. So 55-second laps.
Yeah, it's still about 80 kilometres of racing to go. To put it in a length form as Andy Barber on the grass through turn 3, absolutely as low as you want to go through that corner. Somehow did not wreck. Oh, did I speak too soon? No. Kept that car on the track. A little bit of rub from behind by Craig Roffey. That was absolutely nail-biting stuff.
Yeah, Barber's really getting low to get out that exit of turn 3.
Yeah, Barber's been right on the bottom there every time I've seen him and really taking it low. Meanwhile, Kim Roffey's managed to jump up into the lead of the race. And Kay Donnelly's gone, yep, I want to get that lead now. Gets a big run as they come into the corner, belting it through 3 wide. And they make it through turn 2, 3 wide somehow. Luckily, everybody kept it in the right position at the right time. Kay Donnelly takes the lead of the race. And, at the beginning of this lap, he was in 5th position. He's now in the lead of the race.
Oh, some of them are making some pretty good moves. I see a bit of a snake down the front. Straight.
Yeah, you see them all darting to different positions, trying to break the toe behind them as well. And that's a crucial thing here at Pocono. You will see people trying to break the toe as much as they can because that's such a big advantage on the straights here.
Looks pretty wild when you've got cars darting from the 3rd lane down to the 1st or 2nd lane, and then back up again.
They're not weaving for tyre warmth. They are just trying to get the toe broken. But yeah, really, really big moves going on throughout the field. Meanwhile, Todd Maxfield's on a run as well now and trying to get past Kim Roffey and does just about do it. Slides up in front. Kim Roffey makes contact with Craig Roffey. They just save it there. That could have been a disastrous moment for those two cars, for those two Reg Sim Sports entries.
Would have been an awkward team meeting after the race.
And the Roffey family reunion would not be the place to be. That would have been an awkward moment. Great reactions from Craig Roffey just saving the car because that was a big moment. We see Whitcher just giving the old flicker of the headlights in the background. Another thing that throws us off on the oval racing when we see headlights flashing.
Donnelly's cleared out a little bit. He's built himself a lead of a 2nd.
He's sort of broken out of the draft range, you got to say. About a second, isn't it? About a second to about a second and a half, I think, is the draft range. And Donnelly is absolutely flying up the front and sort of moving himself out of position where Maxfield can take advantage of that. Meanwhile, Andy Barber is wanting to try and close that gap down because he's just got a huge run on Maxfield, on shooting past, and now he's trying to close the gap to Maxfield's teammate. So they weren't wanting Cade to run away with this one because Donnelly is really, really trying to break it away. So about half a second at the moment between the sort of top two. And it's not enough to break that draft now. And you can see what's happened is that's created a huge, huge run for Andy Barber, who takes the lead. And Donnelly is going to drop right back in the pack now.
There's big contact the wall. I think that might have been McKenzie, the blue and the white car.
Yeah, it looked like that was Darren McKenzie just giving the wall a gentle nudge. No major damage though, by the looks of things. Just a little bit of paint scratched down the side, and McKenzie's now getting the run through the corner up into fourth. And well, Donnelly, he was leading for a bit of time, and now he's dropped down into fifth position.
Doesn't take long, does it? The cars behind you get organised and get a bit of a run on you. They can beat you down pretty quick.
Yeah, it's crucial stuff to sort of get an idea of how that works before the end of the race as well, because you want to know where's the best point to get the run, when should you pull the trigger, because if you do it too late, you can find yourself not having enough time to get past the car, especially down this straight. So you've got to do it so you just get past them, and they don't have the opportunity to get back at you. So I wonder if a few people are just doing some practice runs in that respect and earning themselves a couple of bonus points at it.
Mackenzie's running pretty hard at the moment. He's just trying to get into that second spot. I just saw someone in the background having a good run now. Richie Tremico, he's obviously got enough damage repaired on that car that he can hold on to the back of this pack. So he's now running in 13th. Got another Rogue Sport car who might be able to get up there and give his teammates a bit of assistance.
Yeah, if they can get everybody in a line, they could be in a strong position as one of the sort of larger teams out there tonight, and that could be crucial come at the end of the race. Especially if we have some green flag stops to come.
Yeah, and we're pretty sure we're going to have to see one more pit stop and one green flag pit stop run at this stage.
It's going to be tantalisingly close to the end as well. Probably about 7 or 8 laps until we see those pit stops happening. So, of course, I'm sure the drivers will like to make a liars of us and manage to make it home without a stop, which is usually what happens when we think there's going to be some fuel shortages.
Yeah, I think I was going to say, where was getting that name Nigel Ladder from? It's blast from the past. Maybe rugby league or something, I'm not sure. But you know, Michael Ladder would probably be the first car that we see hit pit road, because he's been out there 2 laps longer than everybody else. So the theory would be that he runs out of fuel first, so he would therefore be the first one out of the lot on the pit load. But he may have saved quite a bit to run out the back here. So, but yeah, we'll just keep an eye on him as well in the background.
Yeah, we'll soon know if we start to see people sort of looking down the lane. That will be the main teller. Up at the front though, Andy Barber has managed to get a nice lead by about 0.8 of a second. Not quite enough to break the draft, but it's sort of tantalisingly close to doing so. He's got Darren McKenzie right behind him, and Darren McKenzie has got Todd Maxwell all over the back of him. So if they start battling behind, it could be the chance for Andy Barber to break that draft and actually get himself into the lead of the race in a comfortable position.
Yeah, I'm just watching the lap times on the timing data, and we're pretty even that time. Yeah, but when they're sort of battling from second on that on back, the lead car generally is about half a second quicker. It was the same for Don Lee as well. So, but once these cars behind them get sorted out, get back into single file, they close the gap pretty quick.
That's it. As they're battling each other, it really slows them down. That last time round, Gary Wellman a 54.3, Andy Barber a 55.1. So yeah, Gary Wellman just had a flying lap, just set the best lap time of the race, and you can see that by just how much time he's closed up on the leader, taken about half a second out of the lead and got himself up into second. And Wellman is in full-on flying mode now, really going for it.
I was going to say about a lap or two ago that that Wellman was sort of back in the sort of mid-pack, but you don't want to count him out. He's the kind of guy, he can. Well, we've seen it last season. He can come back from 4 laps down to win the race.
Yeah, that was a moment of brilliance, really. It's very rare that you can start a race 4 laps down and come out to win it. Gary Wellman was just on top form last season, and I've got to say, without his holiday, it would have been a pretty dominant championship run as well for the number 45 Simboy, the green Electrix, Gary Wellman.
Yeah, he should have, you know, he was having such a good run. He should have maybe thought about cancelling his holiday and sim racing instead. I mean, come on.
Exactly. Priorities, people. You've got to get them straight. As all the
Contact
mid-pack is
Simboys.
getting... Yeah, mid-pack just got really, really closed up. And there were a few cars spreading all the way out. A little bit of contact with the wall as well. Chris Finlay just having a little bit of a moment. They are really starting to close up now as we've got just under 9 laps to go. And it's Darren McKenzie getting a big run to the lead of the race over Andy Barber. And that pack has just absolutely closed up, less than a second between the top 11 cars.
You can see the energy change, couldn't you? Like all of a sudden it was like a light switch flicking on, and now it's all, you can just tell by the body language of the cars and the way they're driving that they're all really energized and getting into this now. It's go time for everyone.
Yep. You just tell everybody's just turned it up a notch, and all of a sudden it is full on attack mode. They've gone from cruising and just saving a little bit. Now they've gone all the way up to 99% attack mode and race mode. And they are fully going for it. 3 wide down the front straight. Chris Finney on the inside. Craig Donnelly trying to make the move on Andy Barber. And they are really racing hard now. The pack is absolutely as tight as you like it.
Still 3 wide down the back straight.
This is where we wince as they're 2 wide coming into turn 2. And they've just gapped each other a little bit there. So everybody just not quite... There's still 7 laps to go, so everybody's still just taking it a little bit easy through turn 2. They're not going full on attack mode, but they are going a little bit more aggressive than they were at the start of the race. And they're getting a huge run down the front straight, trying to make the move down the inside. So does Justin Whitcher, just darts out from nowhere as they are 3 wide through turn number 1. As they are really racing hard as Trimco just avoids the wall there at the back of this pack. That's going to lose him a little bit of time as he just has to lift off a little bit. Okay, Donnelly getting a big run towards the lead of this pack now, the 41. Trying to get the lead into turn 2. They come 2 wide. Almost 3 wide through this corner, and they make it through once more. Well, we're getting to that point where we think they might need to make a stop very, very soon. The way they're racing, though, it doesn't feel like it, does it, Matt?
No, they're all on 30 laps done now. It's 3 wide through turn 1. Let's see what the entry into turn 2 is going to be like.
Starting to feel like we could see a play very soon, because they are really, really racing each other as hard as you possibly like it out there. And it's this time of the race where you race each other as hard as you can.
But they're racing really, really well.
Doing great job side-by-side racing. No contact throughout there, which is great to see. This is what we love to see in racing, is full-on attack mode without any contact, without accidents, because that is what we are wanting to see. As Darren McKenzie just gives Kate Donnelly a little bit of a bunch there, just giving him a nudge from behind, and just saying, look, I am really going to race you hard now. This is absolutely coming for it. But Andy Barber's not giving up too. Of course, Pole Sitter, the number 5, is flying down the inside of his teammate there, and that's going to give
costly McKenzie. Oh no, he managed to hold it back, but he's going to still have Davison on the inside.
Yeah, Davison's had a huge run from nowhere there. It was almost like blink and you miss it. And Davidson is defending against Roffey as well. They are really racing each other hard. Coming across the line, it's going to be 3 laps to go, including this one. So 4 laps to go from here, and they are really, really on it. And there's not even a hint of lifting or anything like that. So get the feeling they're right for fuel map.
I'm thinking that too, yeah. I think they might have done enough in that run to save to make it to the end. Which is why we sort of saw it all come on like a switch, but they all knew that they were going to be good.
There's a moment where the crew chief says, "Yeah, you're good for fuel to the end. Push, push, push." And that is when you go for it.
So just having a look at the laps. 32 laps done so far. This will be 33 laps done since they've pitted. So it'll be 36 laps done if they make it to the end.
Well, Michael Ladder's still out there lapping at a decent pace. He's 35 laps into this one, so I would say they're going to be all right to the end. And well, it's now being turned up to full. The saving has gone out the window. It is now all about the racing. Currently, Chris Finley up at the front. He's got Kay Donnelly and Adam Malone really racing hard behind. Malone trying to get past Donnelly through turn 2. Donnelly drops down, throws the block, keeps himself in a really good position there, and stops Barber from moving up a spot. They are racing each other as hard as you like out there now. It is fully on. There's no more moments of forgiveness. If you make a mistake, you're going to come in, as Michael Latter is in the pit lane. So yeah, that's as far as he could make it. So I think we might still see a couple of people just be on the edge of the fuel limit, as Finley and Darren McKenzie comes from nowhere up into P3, and Barber's going to drop down a little bit of running. Finley is trying his best to stop them, as we see Troy Davidson getting squeezed up in the wall. Barber has to make a few little moves just to stop that. A little bit of contact from behind into McKenzie, and McKenzie is having a huge accident after contact with Finley, and that's going to bring out the caution flag.
Could just kind of see that it was getting a little bit awkward, I think, with his cars sort of maybe not holding the line, or yeah, there's a bit of bumping going on and a bit of blocking maybe, I'm not sure. But
yeah, it was a bit of a bump and rub from Darren McKenzie. It unsettled Finley's car, and Finley's car was almost saved by Darren McKenzie. So McKenzie sort of made that happen, and then it was the start of us undoing. It sort of straightened out Finley, but McKenzie took the full force of that one.
He did, yeah. And just having a look at this. Yeah, Finley's fully out of control, but the contact from McKenzie helps get him straightened back up. So a bit of damage to the car, but for the most part not too bad. But unfortunately for McKenzie, that would be pretty much race done damage. Only a 2-car crash, which is kind of weird because that happened right up the front, so that's good. They all got free.
Yeah, I was expecting to see a lot more cars involved in that accident, and I guess luckily it was turn 2, where everybody's going to be sitting as low as they can coming into the corner. So there's not going to be too many people sitting up high in that spot. So that's really going to hurt. That's a really bad night for last time's winner, Darren McKenzie, and it is night over and done with for the 0-2. Good news, though, for Michael Latter.
Yeah, is anybody else going to pit, though? That's a question as well.
Well,
does anybody need to pit?
We're going to be going into overtime, so it's going to be green, white, checker.
They're all coming in.
They're all coming in. This is going to work out perfectly for Michael Latter.
Yeah, hopefully he can get around in time and get up to the front of that pack.
He's just coming into turn 3 now. So you could just see him just flying past your view there on the top of the screen. He is going to go sailing past all of these cars in pit lane that need to get a little bit of fuel to get to the end. And it's going to leapfrog him up there. Richie Tranco as well. He has stayed out. So I wonder if he's, just because he's been sitting at the end of that pack all night long, if he's just got enough fuel in there to get him to the end. This has worked out perfectly for Michael Latta, who had to come in to pit lane just to make it to the end of the race. But this green white checker has basically put him up to the front of the pack for this restart.
Yeah, if it's happened twice this race, it must be a sign. So he needs to stay up here now and fight hard for the win.
We saw he had some really good pace in the early couple of laps after that restart. So if he can do the same again, this could be it could be a fantastic night for the number 60. What about the 94? Does Richie Tranco have enough fuel in the car to get it to the line?
Yeah, 35 lap stint for him as well. Just noticed in the background, Maxfield had a bad pit stop. He had to back up. I just saw him backing up for his pit stall, so he might have overshot it. So that would have just cost him a couple extra seconds and dropped him down the order a little bit.
Yeah, Todd Maxwell down into 9th position. Kate Donnelly's managed to get out in the lead of the cars that has stopped, with Chris Finlay next to him. Troy Davison, Andy Barber, Gary Wellman, Craig Roffey, Todd Maxfield and Kim Roffey. That's our top 10 at the moment. Justin Whitcher, Greg Spencer and Derek Jacobs are just outside of that. Everybody out there on the lead lap. We've lost Darren McKenzie from this race. Adam Malone is still in it, and he's finally got a rear
He's got a boot.
wing. He's got a boot on the car.
He's got a boot and a spoiler. Finally.
But we've lost Noddy Tompkin, Nigel Patton, Tom Pritchard, Joe Baldwin, Aaron Dillon, Andrew Carr, and Dwayne Priest. So, yes.
Yeah, this is going to be really interesting. As I say, does Tramico have enough gas? Does he cough? If he coughs and runs out of fuel and the cars are all over him in the back, does it set off a big accident? Has the ladder got the confidence to stick to it this time and stay up there and go for the win? I hope it does. I really hope it does.
Yeah, absolutely. And a late caution could well see Richie Ramco taking victory here as well. We've seen that before where, a late caution has put it to an end under pace car conditions, so there are plenty of things that can still happen here tonight. So yeah, there's so much action to come.
And anything can happen. Any one of these cars that are running in here, they're still on the lead lap, which there's 13 of them. Any one of them could still win this race.
Yep, after 82 laps, there's still 13 cars that can take a victory here tonight. As is often the way with oval racing, as the Mustang pace car leads himself out in front. But yeah, it's going to be a close fight up the front, and I think we're going to see the aggression going all the way up now, Matt. It's going to be fully on for all of these drivers.
It's going to be all aggression, nothing else.
Yep. I would not be surprised to see the pace car back out here, but we're going to go to green. It's going to be Trunco leading away for this restart as we go back to green flag racing. Latta
spin the tyres.
Gets a spin on the tyres, and that's a really bad start for Latta. That is not what you need to have happen. That's going to cost him a lot of position. Stramco up in the lead, though, as they go through. There's contact. There is contact, and it's going to bring out the caution flag for sure. Who was that? I think it was Troy Davidson getting a huge hit into the wall.
Davidson. I'll have a look and see. I think this all stems from Ladder's bad start, unfortunately. It just bunched them all up.
It just caused a huge checkup, and then there was a little bit of contact. And bang, heavy impact there for Davidson. And that has brought the caution flag out. And well, as long as he's got enough fuel in the tank, Richie Trauco is going to take victory here tonight.
Just looking down the bottom here as well, as cars were checking up to take avoiding action. There's a bit more contact between Whitcher and Barber. Barber's done a good job holding on to it.
Done a very good job. Well, just under 2 kilometers left around this track. Does Richie have enough fuel in the tank? That's the question. It is. I can hear very much clutching going on, but keeping it in 6th gear at the moment. Just trying to get it round. This is going to be the key thing, is just getting it back to the finish line, because he needs to take that checkered flag still.
He does. Yeah, 38 laps on the stint so far. He's got to be really close to it.
And I'm listening. That's why I'm so quiet, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just listening on my end. Clutching. Back under power. And look, should have enough speed now to make it to the line.
No, it's out. Or was that clutch? No. Yeah, he's clutching it.
And he makes it. And Rich Troco for Rogue Sim Sports takes a victory here tonight at Pocono. Keeping it out was the right solution. A fantastic victory here tonight, as Kay Donnelly will come home in 2nd spot and Gary Wellman will come home 3rd.
I don't think Jarenko's got any fuel to do anything. I know he's going to do a quick little burnout.
Oh, it saved enough for a burnout. And I think if the Rogue teammates there, just in case there wasn't enough fuel in there, just offering some burnout celebrations. A fantastic victory for Richie, and going to be absolutely delighted with that. Kay Donnelly and Gary Wellman are 2nd and 3rd. Michael Latter, he brings it home in 4th position. 5th for Todd Maxfield. Chris Finlay in 6th. 7th for Craig Rothie. Kim Rothie in 8th. 9th for Justin Whitcher and Greg Spencer in 10th. It is all 3 of the Rogue Sim Sports cars inside the top 10 tonight. They are going to be delighted.
Yeah, they're all doing victory celebration burnouts there. Hopefully we get just thinking about the screenshot that I'll need to do later. That hopefully we can get a good clean screenshot of just Richie's car without the other cars in it. But those teammates are pretty happy.
There they go. Yeah.
What a comeback though! Like, he was involved in a big wreck, damage. He was way off the pace that second long green run. Another caution came and got enough repairs done that he could actually finally keep up with the pack, and he's turned around and won the race.
Absolutely brilliant. Yeah, up 15 positions as well from his starting spot. But yeah, as you said, Matt, it was a pretty dire night, because he was sitting at the back of the pack almost all race long. But that saved him in the end, because he was able to save so much more fuel, and just absolutely done to perfection. That risk of staying out would not have made it to the end of the race if we didn't get that final caution, you got to say.
No, definitely not.
Risk versus reward has paid off tonight for Richie Tramco, and got to say, a very, very nice victory there in the bag, especially for the 2nd round of the series. And look, good night for Rogue Sim Sports as well. That's going to be a really nice points haul for them for the Teams Championship. So they are going to be super happy with that one, I am sure. And what a great race Pocono has brought to us again. The tricky triangle always paying off, as the race ended up being 85 laps long at the end, with that little bit of overtime. So a really good job from everybody to get it to the line and get the job done. So we are going to be starting off tonight with a man that we haven't spoken to for a long time in his standings for the Sim Boys. It is Mr. Gary Wellman. Let's bring him up to the booth. Gary, welcome back to the booth, mate. It's nice to have you up here. It feels like it's been a bit of time since we talked to you, since we last talked to you in the Australasian Supercar eSeries sort of timeline of things. But a P3 tonight, you must be pretty chuffed.
Yeah, Carl, it's good to be back. So, it was a bit of fun, that one. It was anyone's at the end there. So, I was just happy to kind of not get too tangled up in it all.
Well, that is it. That sort of, it was a we're sort of saying that it was going to be a really tight race at the end, and it looks like fuel was going to be a little bit of a tighter issue for some people than others. Obviously, that green-white checker was the breaking point there, because you wouldn't have made it to the end without that final stop.
Oh, I think we would have just scraped home. I was watching it. I probably had, I don't know, not even a quarter of that probably, but I was managing it, so I couldn't really charge it to the front. Just had to bide my time and wait for it to open up. But then the green-white checker came out, and we had no choice but to go in.
No, well, that sort of final incident, it was very, very marginal if you were going to make it through.
Yeah, I copped the tap there, so I got a couple of incident points. But snuck through. Bit unlucky for Troy though, because he was having a good race. But yeah, it's just a bummer. You know, the whole race was running pretty good. It would have been nice to run to the end on green, but it's just the way it goes, isn't it?
It is sometimes. Look, unfortunate run for tonight, but still third place. I mean, for you, that's quite low. You know, that's a sort of, that's a bad finish.
No, I don't think so. I'll take a podium any day, mate. So I'm happy with that.
Congratulations tonight, Gary. Look, we'll make Cade do all the hard work with the sponsorship stuff, but for personal shout outs tonight, go for it, mate.
Yeah, just sim boys. It's all a few of them jumped in and turned up tonight. So yeah, good times. And thanks you guys for the broadcast as always. And an Australasian Supercar eSeries. Hopefully it keeps going for a while yet.
Absolutely. Look, keep well, Gary, and I'm sure we'll see you back in the booth in no time, mate.
Cheers, Carl. See you, mate.
Gary Wellman there for Sim Boys. Next up, we will grab up his teammate, the blue flavour of the Sim Boys entry. It is Mr. Cade Donnelly. Cade, welcome to the booth, mate, and congratulations on P2 here at Pocono.
Yeah, thanks, Carl.
It was it's a fairly long race tonight with lots of action on track, but you were pretty much at the front for all of it.
Yeah, just sort of had some pace, I guess. It was just trying to stay clean, stay out of trouble.
Well, that's the tricky part sometimes around Pocono. We saw a couple of big moments going through turn 2 and some big runs for yourself as well.
Yeah, I took off there. I thought I had enough fuel, and then I didn't. So I had to slow down and come back to the pack, and then there was a little bit of argy-bargy happening, but yeah, it's racing.
Well, that is racing sometimes. Like a little bit of argy-bargy, but you still managed to get it up in to P2, and that's a good points haul as well for the team.
Yeah, definitely, mate. Yeah. I don't know what happened on that last restart. Mr. I don't know, Ladder or whatever his name is, just sort of smashed into the side of me. But good points haul.
Absolutely, yeah. It looked like he lit up the rears on the restart and just had a little bit of a slide down towards you, unfortunately. So that must have been, that looks like it was the start of that final incident, unfortunately. It compressed the field up and caused a bit of a checkup because it looked like it was going to be a big run to the end, because it looked like everybody bar a couple of people had been down the lane for that little bit of extra fuel to get them to the line. And so what was your plans going into that restart?
Yeah, I think we were just sort of making sure we had the fuel, and we were going to have a good hard crack at it. But it was a bit of an anticlimactic finish.
It was, unfortunately. It always is when a caution comes out, but it still was a decent finish tonight. Like P2 is never a bad place to finish, and it's definitely a good points haul this early on in the championship, especially team-wise. Congratulations, like Cade. Before I let you go, though, the love for shout-out to sponsors and people being the high symbol, you get to do the hard work.
Good on you, mate. Yeah, so shout out to Hot Toddys Heating Installs, United Electrical, you guys, obviously, for putting on the broadcast, ASE, the Sim Boys, and congratulations to Richie for the win.
Awesome stuff, Cade. Look, hopefully we're going to see you back in the booth in the very near future. Hopefully it'll be one step higher as well, beating that green car.
Sounds good.
Have a good one, Cade. We'll catch you back soon.
Catch you, mate. Bye.
Cade Donnelly there for Sim Boys, coming home in P2 tonight. And finally, for Rogue Sim Sports, it's Richard Tranco coming back to the booth. It's been a time since we last spoke to him, But tonight it is for a much better position, taking a victory here tonight at Pocono. The man that absolutely managed that fuel to perfection, Richard Tramco. Welcome back to the booth, mate, and congratulations on the win here at Pocono.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Bit of a lucky win. I just hung out the back and saved fuel as much as I could, and tyres. And yeah, I wasn't feeling real racy tonight, especially after I got to do an apology to I think Adam Malone. I hit early and took him out, and I think someone hit him after that. I sort of caused that first yellow, and I felt really bad. I had problems with my BJ hydraulic pedals today, so I swapped back to my V3s, and they just were a bit spongy and went into the tri-oval turn 2 a little bit hot and got into Adam. But yeah, the strategy worked out well. I just hung out the back, saved fuel, and lucky me, a green white checker come out, and I had about 0.8 of a litre, enough to do the green white checker without pitting. So yeah.
Absolutely. Look, you saved that to perfection, because we were just trying to work out the fuel loads up here in the booth at the end of the race, and we're sort of talking about, is anybody going to risk it? And we glanced down, and all of a sudden we just see you sticking it out there, risking it out there, and it absolutely paid off. I mean, if it had remained green, do you think you would have made it to the end?
Yes, yeah. So on my fuel calculations, if I ran hard, I would have had about 0.8 of a litre left after the finish. So I had about 2.5 laps of hard racing at the green. So yeah, I would have been able to run it as hard as possible. And my tyres were still good. They were just under the 60%, or just on the 60%. So yeah, I could have ran hard. I ran hard into turn 1. I didn't brake and just went full noise into turn 1, and it stuck. So yeah, felt pretty confident I could have held it out. But being with the draft and everything, whether I would have held on is another thing. But yeah, bit of luck with the yellow coming out.
It's sometimes nice to have a little bit of luck on your side, as well as those skills in the booth, because you've absolutely done it tonight. Really, really good job from yourself. Absolutely did that one perfectly. And look, sitting at the back saving the fuel, we saw you sort of sitting back there, and we wondered if it was because of the damage, but it sounds like it was all on the strategy game. Congratulations tonight, mate.
Yeah, no, well, I had to play that strategy because with the brake pedal the way it was, I wasn't confident to run mid-pack. So yeah, I felt really bad taking out Adam early, and I decided I was just gonna hang out back and pick up the pieces where I could, and it all fell into me lap. So yeah, the Rogue Sim boys, they did well. We've got Craig Roffey finished 7th, and Kim finished 8th. And Craig led quite a few laps there. So yeah, pretty strong outing for us.
Absolutely. I think all 3 of you got bonus points tonight for laps led, so that's even better, and that's a nice boost as well. Because I think I can't remember if any of your cars entered last time out. I don't think you were here for round 1, were you?
No, I know I didn't make it. No, Craig didn't make it. I'm not sure about Kim, whether Kim made it or not. But yeah, I'm planning on running as many of the rounds as possible now. So yeah, I seem to be able to pull off a good finish early in the season. I just fade away at the end. So yeah, let's see if I can keep it up. Having the road courses in is going to be interesting. So I'll have to get my other pedal set back and up and operating, and yeah, looking forward to them.
Absolutely, fingers crossed you can get everything back fully operational. Look, if you can take a victory with the not fully operational pedals and everything not being quite right, what will you be like when it all gets perfect again? Hopefully, we're going to see you right up the front of the field again for the rest of the season. Look, congratulations tonight for yourself and for the team. But before I let you go, the usual things: the shout out, the love to sponsors, people in general, the team. Go for it, Richie. You absolutely earned it tonight.
We don't have any official sponsors, but for myself, I don't do my own computer work. So Elite Computers here in town in Gladstone, in Queensland, they always look after me and that. Like to say a big thank you to them. And for the team, our team is a fantastic team of mates that we just all really get on well and race well together and have a good laugh and that. So yeah, it's enjoyable. But thanks to all the sponsors of that put on tonight and the broadcast crew and all that. You do a fantastic job, and glad to be back for another season. And yeah, we'll see how the Rogue Sim boys do this season.
Absolutely. Best of luck. Look, you started off your season perfectly. Hopefully it can continue on that form. Richie Tramco, welcome back to the booth and congratulations on the win here at Pocono.
Okay. Thanks, mate.
Okay, Richie Tramco there for Rogue Sim Sports taking the win here tonight, Matt. A really solid result. And let's just quickly run through those results one last time for you all. It's Richie Tramco taking the win tonight for Rogue Sim Sports. Second place for the Sim Boys and third for Cade Donnelly and Gary Wellman. Michael Ladder had a great run up into P4, starting way down the order as well. Two biggest movers of the night with Latter and Tramco both up 15 positions. Todd Maxfield came home fifth, Chris Finlay in sixth, seventh Greg Roffey, Kim Roffey in eighth, ninth for Justin Whitcher and Greg Spencer in 10th. Derek Jacobs had a good run in P11 with Andy Barber 12th, 13th for Troy Davidson, 14th for Adam Malone. Darren McKenzie came home 15th with Noddy Tompkins just behind him 16th. 17th for Nigel Patton, Tom Pritchard in 18th, 19th for Joe Baldwin, Aaron Dillon 20th, 21st for Andrew Carr, and Dwayne Priest in 22nd. Jane Budd didn't take the start. So another great round of action here tonight, Matt.
Yeah, it was pretty exciting, wasn't it? We, with that 10 laps to go, it was anyone's race, really. Anyone in that top 13 cars could have grabbed that finish. And yeah, great to see a different driver jump up there and grab the win.
Absolutely. And well, next time out, it could well be a different driver indeed, because we're heading off to a slightly different track. We're heading off to a more familiar place for these supercars.
We are, yeah. We're heading to Phillip Island. So we have the first of 3 road courses this season, mixing it up a little bit. But yeah, Phillip Island, and I believe it is a 40-minute race. So it'd be interesting to see who can transfer that speed from the oval onto road courses in this car.
Absolutely, and I wonder if we'll see some of those road course specialists creeping out of the woodwork to see what they can do at Phillip Island. Look, a big thank you to everybody tonight. A big thank you to everybody for viewing and watching, of course, and we will see you back soon. Of course, we head back with the Cup action.
Thursday night.
Yep, off to Darlington for the first round of the playoffs, of course. So we look forward to seeing you then. And then, of course, we're back next Sunday with more of the V8 action, this time at Phillip Island. So a big thank you to Mr. Matt Hunter and, of course, myself, Carl Wilkinson, with you, wishing you all a good night. We will see you again soon. Well, good night from all of us.